Shakespeare? Yeah. Yeah, I know. I knew. Bill. William Shakespeare, they used to call him. Let me see. He was born around 1564. April 23rd, to be exact. I remember the day well. Him and his dad, John, and I were out fishing that day. Let me see. Bill married a girl named Anne Hathaway. He had a kid 7 months after they were married. Called her Susanna, I think. Susie, we used to call her. He had a couple more kids later on. Twins, by the way. Twins named Judith and Hamlet. That's a strange name for a boy. Boy, girl, twins. Hamlet died. After Hamlet died, Billy was never quite the same again. He used to write sonnets, he called them. I never really quite understood them, but he did write some plays, and that's how he made his living. And wrote some pretty good plays. In fact, his plays were so good that I painted some pictures. The pictures are from his plays. In fact, if you're not doing anything, why don't you come with me? Well, I'll show you. Show you these paintings. You might like them, or you might not. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York. That's how Richard III starts. Richard III, that's who married Anne Neville. Of course, Richard III also killed her dad and her husband and the king. So it was no surprise to anybody that she would end up dead before the play was over. Down here we have Cressida from Troilus and Cressida. That's a play I didn't quite get. 37 plays in this book. I've read them all, and only understood a few. Next, we have Tamara. Titus Andronicus, that's what the play is called. It's a hideous play. It's an experiment Bill did. It's so hideous that there's murder, rape, dismemberment, and cannibalism in this play. Were I a high school teacher trying to enlighten my students about Shakespeare, my old pal, this is the play that I would introduce to them. Makes Texas Chainsaw Massacre looks like a tete-a-tete. Dame Eleanor Cobham from Henry VI, Part 2. You've probably heard from Henry VI, Part 2, a famous phrase, let's kill all the lawyers, let's kill them tonight. Well, taken out of context, that sounds like fair game. But they also, the rebels, wanted to kill anybody that could read and write. Dame Eleanor Cobham's husband was the protector of the king, Henry V's son. Was crowned when he was like 9 years old or something like that. Her husband watched over him for all those years. She thought that her husband should be king, and hired a witch to tell her how to make her husband the king. Well, the witch's name was Marjorie Jordan. She's also in the painting, if you can find her. Here's her name. Here's her eyes, and she looks like she's got her hands over her head. That's Marjorie Jordan from Henry VI, Part 2. There's 3 parts. Those are the first 3 plays. Next, we have Maria, Olivia's Woman from Twelfth Night. That's a comedy. One of the few comedies that I get. It seems to me that it's one of those plays that Willie probably wrote in one sitting. It's a wonderful play. Have you ever heard the phrase, some people are born to greatness, others achieve greatness, and others have greatness thrust upon them? Well, that's from Twelfth Night. Taken out of context like that sounds really cool, but actually this minx, this joker here, tried to trap a fop, a coxcomb, into making a fool of himself, in which all people that think they're great eventually do. This down here is Titania. This is the goddess, or not goddess, well, the fairy queen from Midsummer Night's Dream. Now that's a convoluted play where there's so many different things going on. I had trouble following it. It's kind of cute. You really probably can't see her, but she's hidden in the leaves and the flora down there. This next one, Daughter of Antiochus. This is from Pericles. This is another play that I got. I understood this one. The secret of the Daughter of Antiochus is that if you wanted to marry her, you had to figure out this riddle. If you figured out the riddle, you not only got her to marry her, you got the kingdom of Antioch. Sounds like a good deal. Bad thing is, if you decided to do that, you didn't figure out the riddle, the king got to kill you. Well, so Pericles, he figured out the riddle. Well, once he figured out the riddle, he didn't want to marry the bitch. So the whole play goes on about Pericles running away from the king of Antioch. When you want to figure out the riddle, you got to read the play. Next we have Nell Quickly and Doll Tearsheet from one of my favorite plays. This is the history called Henry IV Part 2. From Henry IV Part 2, we not only get the Rocky Mountains, but we also get Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now that sounds strange, but that's true. Nell Quickly and Doll Tearsheet are a couple of bawds, and if you've ever been to a bawdy house, you know how apropos the names Nell Quickly and Doll Tearsheet can be. But getting back to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, also in this play is a couple characters called Falstaff and Bardolph. Now Bardolph's got a nose red from drinking, and Falstaff says to him, "Bardolph, you've lighted my way from tavern to tavern with your red nose." You gotta remember, Falstaff's a fat, bearded, white-bearded guy. So I'm kind of thinking that probably Gene Autry kind of got his idea with Rudolph, the red-nosed Bardolph. I don't know, Bardolph, Rudolph, who knows? We have here Beatrice and Hero. Aha! From Much Ado About Nothing. Well, the play is a whole lot to do about nothing. one of those comedies I kind of get, but you got to be there, I guess. Be there in the 16th century to really understand it. The only line I can remember out of this thing that really struck me is that men are constant in everything except when it comes to affairs of love. Go figure. Catherine Valois, I think is how you pronounce it. She was the daughter of the King of France. This is from Henry V. Probably were I to pick a favorite play, this would be mine. Henry V, once more into the breach, dear friends. Take pity on your town and beauty. All sorts of great soliloquies. It's a wonderful, wonderful play, but not real accurate because his histories weren't that accurate, because he had to appease the Queen. The Queen was Elizabeth at the time, and he had to appease the Tudor ascent to the throne. Actually, probably Henry V, he was a rake and a rambler. Lady Macbeth, from the play, oh geez, let me take a guess here. Macbeth? The Queen, my lord, is dead, comes running a servant. Of course, Macbeth says she should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time. And all yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hours upon the stage and is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot fool of sounding pity, signifying nothing. Katharina, Kate, kiss me, Kate. Taming of the Shrew. That's a play. It involves, she's a real bitch. She's got this younger sister that everybody is in love with. She's got some kind of people courting this younger sister, but her old man won't let her marry anybody her younger sister until he marries his older daughter off first. But she's such a bitch that nobody will marry her. So the play revolves around these guys that get together and they kind of go one guy and they say, well, okay, I'll woo the woman. And there's a movie several years ago with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor called, it's taken from this play. The movie isn't all that great. For one thing, there's no lines in it that Elizabeth Taylor has until the end. She does one soliloquy at the end of it, and that's about it. It's mostly physical. But if you read the play or actually see the play, the banter between men and women, in her, Katharina, and I can't remember the guy's name, is really unique. It's a wonderful play. It's a comedy. Really good. 8. Now this is a stretch. This is not actually a character in a play, but she's alluded to in Julius Caesar. And it comes from Julius Caesar, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, all that kind of stuff. She's alluded to when Mark Antony says, a curse shall light upon the limbs of men. Domestic fury and fierce civil strife shall cumber all the parts of Italy. Blood and destruction shall be so in use, and dreadful objects so familiar that mothers shall but smile when they behold their infants quartered with the hands of war. All pity choked with custom of fell deeds, and Caesar's spirit ranging for revenge with hate by his side, come hot from hell, shall within these confines with monarch's voice cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed shall smell above the earth, with Kellian men groaning for burial. I mean, you can't say that without slobbering. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, how can you put words together like that? It amazes me. Billy was pretty good at that stuff. Cleopatra. People say, Cleopatra, was that Shakespeare? It was, among other people, Shakespeare. Antony and Cleopatra is kind of an upscale version of Romeo and Juliet. Ophelia, Hamlet's girlfriend. Aha, Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, but to take arms against a sea of brothels, and by opposing in them to die to sleep. No. By sleep to say we end up heartaches and 1,000 natural shocks the flesh is into. It's a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep. To sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the problem. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal blood, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit takes, when he himself might in his quietest make of the bare bodkin, who would fondle spare to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but at the dread of something after death. But undiscovered country from whose born no traveler returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have, and fly to others we know not of. Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all. Thus the native hue of resolution is sickly, or with a pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment, with this regard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Oh, soft you now, the fair Ophelia. Nymph in thy orisons be all thy sins. Remember it. She ends up drowning, actually. You see, she falls in this lake or jumps in this stream, I don't know. But in order to be buried in a Christian burial, you can't commit suicide, so they claim that her clothes killed her because they got soaked with water. Go figure. Cordelia, Gonro, and Reagan, the daughters of King Lear. Now there's a play I can't figure out what that's supposed to be. Comedy, tragedy, problem play. Surely, well, actually, if Shakespeare had been prescient, he would have, George III, that's the same guy that George Washington fought in the American Civil War, kind of lived out his life. He would have went nuts like King Lear did, and he called all his daughters his little Cordelias. He had like 15 kids, and 7 of them were daughters. He called them all his little Cordelias. So he must have knew he was nuts. But anyway, Cordelia was the good daughter. They had Goneril and Regan were the bad ones. Kind of sounds like Cinder something. I don't remember. Next we have Miranda from The Tempest. With a name like The Tempest, you'd think that was some sort of problem play, but it's actually a comedy. Oh, brave new world that has such people in it. You heard that phrase? That came from The Tempest. Miranda said that. Living on an island by herself and her father and some crazy shepherd, sheep herder named, goat herder named Caliban or something like that. Actually, a very good play. Desdemona. If you look real close here, you can see a spider, a real spider in there just crawled across that. When I was painting this picture, so I took a little spray and just kind of curled up. I took a pencil and spread his legs out a little bit. Desdemona is from Othello. Othello is a play about a black man that married a white woman in a predominantly white country. He was a hero. He did great feats. Everybody loved him, and he ended up killing her. I don't know. I've heard that story somewhere before. Rosalind from As You Like It. Rosalind, like many of Shakespeare's heroines, dressed up like a man for some reason or another. There was another one, Portia from The Merchant of Venice. I think there was another one down here somewhere. Oh, from Twelfth Night. There was another one, Viola. Dressed up like a man to get her man. The fascinating thing about that is that they didn't allow in those days, in Shakespeare's day, they didn't allow women to be on the stage. They didn't allow, there was no such thing as actresses. All the parts played by women were young men or boys. So what we have here, back in Shakespeare's days, was young boys dressing up like women that dressed up like men. Kind of sounds like a Donahue show or something. I don't know. But As You Like It's that's one of the few comedies that I understood. See, that's another thing about comedy in Shakespeare's days. Why is Tom Arnold's wit is about as sharp as a Nerf ball when compared to Robin Williams? Why won't people 400 years from now understand what the hell I just said? Comedy has to do with timing, contrast, and awareness. And so the fact that Shakespeare's comedies, I don't get, it's not Shakespeare's fault, it's my fault, because I'm not aware of what he was talking about half the time. Well, this ends it. Rosalind here, Desdemona, Miranda, Cordelia, Goneril, Regan, Ophelia, Cleopatra, and all the rest. These are the women of Shakespeare. And Shakespeare had a unique quality about him. He could paint pictures with words. If a picture paints 1,000 words, then a word that paints a picture must make 1,000,000. But it's been my experience that a painting inspires only 9. How long did it take you to do it? Trying to put a dollar per hour value on a feeling, a moment, a memory that I was able to manifest, capture, and hold irked me. So I would just tell my age. That's how long it took me to do these paintings. 47 years. It is sheer pretension on my part to think my works are worthwhile, but I think a certain amount of insecurity and self-delusion is inherent in art, less none would happen. My art aspects are not created, but born of me. Some viviparous, pushing and straining to get free, others hatch suddenly. They are not good, profound, or trite. Those are my attributes. What is seen is but a result, done to each degree of complete. Frozen moments of my time, they are pieces of me to leave, so that in them I can stay. If not, there is no present, only past and future. The words you hear now are past, as these were next before, and now they too are gone. Either that, or there is only present. Thanks for sharing yours with me. Hey, I gotta go. I got a Bluebird bus up there. I'm supposed to go to First Baptist Church and pick up 2 classes of 3rd graders. We're going up to Davenport, to the Oscar Maher plant. We're going to show them where hot dogs really come from.